project, so let's take this.
Well, welcome everyone to this conversation about community, belonging, and well-being. We are Luz Olid and David Caballero is over there, founders of Evolving Education, and your host in today's webinar. And this session is part of NADYW project, an Erasmus project co-funded by the European Union, focused on improving the well-being of youth workers. And the goal here is to take care of those who take care of other people. And as part of this, we wanted to bring awareness about some key elements that can nurture our well-being so that we can become role models of well-being for youth. And each podcast or webinar is supported by a step-by-step guide so you can move into action easily. And you can find already the guide in the description in YouTube or also in the NADYW webpage. And this guide is focused on hosting Awaken Circles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we thought that Awaken Circles would be a nice practice to combine our conversation today. And today it's a pleasure to welcome Johannes Pfister to join this conversation. He's joining from Germany, and he's the co-founder of ThinkCamp and UnaVision, a non-profit cooperative focused on sustainable development, transformative learning, and community building. He brings decades of experience in systems innovation, entrepreneurship, education, and regenerative living. So we have a lot to learn today. I'm really glad that we could make it to learn with you today, Johannes. And today we're going to explore the power of community, the role of learning journeys, and how belonging is essential to both personal well-being and to collective transformation. Thank you for joining us, Johannes.
Yeah, thank you for finding the time. And I would like to start just to getting to know your story. I think this is one of the fantastic ways of learning, to ask people, tell me about you. So if you could share a little bit more about your journey and what led you to create ThinkCamp and UnaVision.
Well, first, thank you very much, Luz and David, for inviting me. It's a real pleasure seeing you here with the good sunshine in the back of you. In Germany, it's already getting cold. We have not minus degrees yet, but around 8 degrees in the evening. So this is quite a challenge after this beautiful summer. So my journey, where should I start? It's it started in a totally different world. So from my education, I became a banker after doing an apprenticeship in banking. And it took me a couple of whiles to find out that money is important, but it's not so important for me to stay in this profession. So after being a foreign exchange trader for a couple of years, I quit my job and was looking, what do I do now? Sustainability is important. And I read the book Limits of Growth from the Club of Rome that was nearly 50 years ago. And that inspired me a lot. So I decided to consult companies to become more sustainable. But as I did not have a formal degree, and as a consultant at that time, you had to show something off. So I did my master's degree with a concentration of system thinking and strategic management, and started then a consulting company, which I run for 25 years. And always with the dream, oh, the world will become more sustainable and we are all happy and the companies are happy and capitalism is going down. But the more I consulted, the more I understood it's not the companies, it's not the managers, it's our system. And this made me think, and it took me quite a while. It took me 10 years to understand that in more depth, that we can, as individuals or even as companies, we cannot change the system. So when we have to start, it makes more sense to start with the people. And in 2002, there was a group of people, primarily in Germany, that were connected with the Club of Rome. So we started an initiative which was called Global Marshall Plan. So the idea was, from this original Marshall Plan, to change the world by bringing more understanding how it works. We did that for 10 years. and run quite a lot of academies every year, primarily in the German-speaking region in Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. And we also conducted more than 100 sustainability days at different universities to create more awareness about sustainability. And after 10 years, we did a review and said, well, it was great. We reached a lot of people, but the world is still the same shit. So this opened up quite a big question. What can we really, really do? And a good friend of mine, Fridtjof Bergmann, who unfortunately died a couple of years ago, a philosopher from Detroit, he brought up 30 years ago the idea of the new work, new culture, with the key question of what do you really, really want to do with your life? And this was a question which also followed us during this period of the Global Marshall Plan Academy. But we took it, we closed down the academy, and we said, let's ask people, many people, what they want to do. Maybe they have the answer. So we started walking in Germany, and we were walking for half a year through 18 countries, partially taking public transportation, did 50 workshops on the way, and were asking the people, and most of them did not have an answer, nearly all of them. They were just, oh, I never thought about this idea, and I did not have a master class about that in high school, did not teach me that, and my parents never asked that. So we said, what's wrong with our planet? I mean, we are running around and no one knows what he wants to do. And I made a check. I was teaching for 15 years also at the University of Salzburg. And we checked master students with a similar question, and also, what did you study and do you want to do that? And more than half of the people didn't want to work in the fields they studied, and they did their masters. Wow. And a lot of them only finished it because of pressure from their parents or some other people to get a degree, even if they were not really interested in. And checking also with 480 managers with the question, what are you doing and what would you really like to do? 95% did something what they don't want to do anymore. And when asking them, why don't you get out? Well, we are stuck. We earn good money. We have a family. We bought an apartment. And when we get out and start doing what we really want to do, we cannot afford to do that. We do it after retirement when we get a heart attack or something.
Wow.
So at the end, during this long hike, we said we need learning locations. We need learning location where it's more quiet, connected with nature. And this was the UnaVision idea. Okay. So the idea was first, it was in the Danube River, the Danube vision, but then we changed it to the UnaVision, the one vision. What everybody wants to have is a content life. This was the common denominator. But how this life looks, it's different with every person. Maybe there are some patterns and some structures within groups, but it's an individual way. What partner do you like? Where do you want to live? How much consumption do you have? And so on. But to find that out, we thought learning locations in rural areas are quite a good place to do that. And the first years we tried to connect with eco-villages and others, and found out that most of them, I visited maybe 40 or so, most of them are so busy with themselves that they don't want to take an extra task. So we started ourselves in the Balkans for 2 years, 3 years in Kosovo and Macedonia to build something up, which was quite an endeavor in a region where the war just finished a couple of years earlier. A lot of trauma was there. And we felt that with the international volunteers mixing with the local people, this work with the individual and what you want to do is very important, but not the right tools are there. So there are a lot of things which you cannot easily speak about. And also, when people don't know what they do, they don't commit long term. They travel around, they are 1 month there and 1 month there, and that way you also don't get deeper connection. And that's another interesting question. How many really good friends do you have? And most people, they have thousands of connections in the internet, but 1 or 2 really deep friends are missing. So this relationships between people is missing also. So in Kosovo, the work was finished after 2 years because the land where we started to do permaculture courses was taken away by the owner. So we were looking, we are a non-profit cooperative. We were looking for a space in Germany where the legal protection is better for the land. And in Bavaria and southern Germany, where I'm from, it's too expensive to get land. So we found something in eastern Germany, where we are now since 7 years, building up this farm as a learning location. And also experimenting with different formats, how you can find yourself, how you can go deeper in what you really want to do, and also experiment normal life, whatever normal means, out of this 8-hour, 40-hour jobs to more self-defined hours, but still serving the community. This is what we are doing now here, 90 kilometers east of Berlin, and at the same time trying to build a network of learning locations who are open for this experiment, bringing different cultures together, bringing different social mindsets and backgrounds together and work together. Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you very much for sharing, Johannes. Wow, there were so many insights on what you were sharing. Like some of the kind of the messages that stayed with me was, on one hand, kind of trying to transform the world towards sustainability, working with companies, with organizations that have a lot of environmental impact, and finding that just by ourselves it's really hard to change anything, that we need to unite and we need to work in communities. Yeah, that's one of the key things that has to stay with me, like the importance of how to build these bonds so that we can really work on things that matter, and through that really connecting with your purpose, because as you said, and we have heard this many times as well, this fear of changing the sunk cost. No, I've already spent all these many years studying and working. Now how am I gonna change, even though I don't feel satisfied with life and there's something else I would like to do. But I'm too afraid to take that step, and it's very, I think, it's scary to take that step alone. It might be different to do it in a community.
But it's kind of super surprising that there is this hope that we will live life in retirement. Like that's I mean, that's kind of really crazy, because like we don't future doesn't exist. We only have today. That's for sure. And then planning to enjoy life, and to find the time to do the things that you like, such a way in the future. It seems to me something completely crazy, and it related to me a lot, because I think that that's something that woke me up in the path that I was following. Also, it was David Fathers died at some point, and it was like, wait 1 second, am I really doing what I want to do in life? And then is where the whole question changed. The question of what is success, or what do I want to do in life, it shifted towards looking for what I'm passionate about and what I want to do to actually feel that I'm living every day and excited every day, you know. But yeah, it's also really, really scary once that we enter in that path where everything seems kind of already pre-established. No, there's not there's not many decisions, difficult decisions that you have to take. There is this path that you have to follow, and so on. And I was also wondering, I think that for me, the concept of community has really evolved through my whole life. And I was wondering what does community means for you and how that term has evolved, that sense of community over
Yeah,
of
particularly with your experience visiting eco villages, which we're also really interested to know how they work. But I'm sure that through that experience, your term of what is a community has changed.
So my community experience actually started also as a teenager, because I attended a boarding school for 9 years. And that was a community of kids and students living together. We were around 100 people living in one house. And that formed me a lot, because it's also this fighting also between teenagers, this grabbing who is faster getting the food, who is getting the nicest bed, and so on. So it's where we are formed as a kid already to not to make consent decisions or harmonious decisions, but the stronger wins normally. And the weaker ones, they are lost if they don't form groups themselves. And sometimes it's quite cruel how young people can beat each other in a negative way also, because they don't have a training in that. Like nonviolent communication or something at my school time did not exist. It was just science, and then if something went wrong, you have to stand in the corner and be quiet for a day or something like that. So it's the old way, especially in Germany, maybe a very radical way at that time, 50 years ago. So this formed me also. And the idea of creating a community was already there very early, but the courage to do it was not there. So the next time was more or less in a family. So I have 3 kids, and a lot of the 25 years until the kids grew up, we had even more kids, visitors who stayed there for 1 year from other families, from other countries. So that was a different kind of community, also getting connected with like-minded families where we tried to offer common services to help each other, but not living together in that way, which made logistics often complicated. Within a city, you have to commute for babysitting and so on. And this grew also the wish as a family with my ex-wife. I was divorced when I started this learning journey to create community. But then when we thought about it, when the kids were 18, 20, how to live in the future, the ideas went different ways. Like my wife preferred living in a big city and having also social contacts. And for me, it was much more important to live connected to nature. So we had many talks until we decided it's better to go different ways. And then the visiting the eco-villages or communities, because there are several waves of communities in Germany. One big wave after the wave 120 years ago, where veganism and living in nature was quite common in the 1880s to 1910s. But then 1968, the commune started. So commune at that time, it had nothing to do with sustainability or healthy living. It was more political statement. Getting out of this society, being against governments, being against everything more or less anarchistic approaches. And there are still some communities living. Mostly they have a common wallet, and they try to separate from society and live their communal life. And this, some of them were shifting in the last 30 years to be also more sustainable. Others stayed in this, for me, it's more or less a deconstructive thinking, not to try to live together, but just to make statements against and not for. And that it brings to me a heavy burden on it, always fighting against the system.
Mm-hmm.
And then most communities in Germany now are started after 1990, when there was more land available. in lots of parts of Europe also, like Tamera and Siebenlinden and those bigger communities, Tempelhof. They are a mixture. Some of them are really the basic grassroots level. We want to live more sustainable. Others want to have, it's probably what you see also in Costa Rica and others, where you have money and you buy yourself into a richer gated community, which has some sustainability aspects, but it's more or less getting away from the trouble of the world. So for me, finding these different ways also opened up a new field. Community is not a community. There are many different ways. Each community has its own philosophy. There are some common patterns in there, but it's not a unique way of community life. So that makes also the need to find out what you yourself want to really, really know. This is also what we are doing in our programs now, to concentrate. Before you can live in a community, you have to know what you want. Because if you are not sure about that, you get pushed around and you are not centered around your really inner philosophy and your core. And most people don't know, still don't know. I mean, it's not in our tradition to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a difference in size also. Most are small communities with 8, 10, 12 people. The big ones are only in Europe, maybe 50, which are bigger from the 800 communities, which are registered at Gen platform or Ecoversities. And being there a couple of weeks or in our own a couple of years, it opens up also what needs there are to be compatible with community life.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing. That was really insightful to hear, like this this clarity in the different types of communities. Ones that kind of are driven by rejecting the system, the city, and the way of working. Others that are kind of looking for an eternal retreat in a secluded location, very nicely. And then the third one, that I think the one that is you're going deeper into, is the one that's driven by purpose. That purpose being sustainable and sharing values and so on. And then the importance of people questioning what they really want. Yeah, and you also mentioned something really interesting in your childhood, that, and this is something I always think, that we don't know by default how to live in community or how to behave in a healthy manner with everyone else. It would be amazing if that was wired already in our brain, but it doesn't seem to be. The good thing, though, is that there are so many social technologies that we can use. I mean, we already have, I think, a value system. I feel like it's almost inherently human, that is driving us towards want to collaborate, towards want to help each other. And then we can use these social technologies to collaborate better, to sort out conflicts in a more healthy manner as well. That's really interesting. So maybe I'm going to jump there to see from your experience where some of these examples of things that in your experience work well to help people kind of learn how to live in community, or how to collaborate more efficiently or healthily. I don't know. I don't want to use the word efficient or or productive, but rather to be in a healthy manner with each other.
I think healthy is a good word, because healthy means that your body, your mind, your soul feels really good about it, and you want more of it and not put it away what is unhealthy. So if we don't have good food and we still go on eating it, also we know it. It for some people, of course, it's a financial decision, but for others, it's that they are not aware about it. I mean, it's the same being a smoker or something with this bad habits.
We even have a quick question that is very related to what I just asked, and it's kind of tips on how to healthy collaborate.
Okay. This is again, and I'm learning every day, just now with the groups we were working this year, how needed it is to increase the level of awareness, of feeling what the other is really saying, because a lot of times we don't listen. We don't listen what wishes there are, what needs there are. We don't feel it because we never learned it. And the feeling we do with Biljana here, we do a lot of somatic work. What tells me the body about something? And this is in our normal education, standard education, it's not even mentioned. I mean, it's only the brain and not the body or the soul. And to find this balance between this, the body, soul, mind, brain, and a healthy balance also, that it's not good. If you only meditate and you don't connect with people anymore, it doesn't work either. So you need this fine balance depending on the situation, that you use all your senses and your mind and your feelings to connect with the other people, which is a continuous work. And it's so hard to stick to some things on a continuous level, not just do it half an hour in the morning and then it's done, meditation, but it goes on, life goes on. And the meditative part is important, but it's only one part of it. And
thank you. And just to reflect on that, I love what you mentioned, because awareness is one of the key words of this project that drove us to do this webinar, but also I think of a key insight for us in our personal lives and the work that we do. There is just this massive change when you focus on increasing your level of awareness, what's going on inside of you, and the body as an open door to make that possible completely. I think, as you said, I think we've been very focused on the IQ, on the intelligence coefficient, then the emotional intelligence. I think the next step, it's the body's intelligence through somatics. We use a methodology that's called awareness through the body. And it's pretty much through movement bring you to the present, your attention and concentration. I'm sorry, I keep on going.
Yeah.
Okay.
And when we try to exercise this awareness, I find out, and the others also, that can you really do it for a longer period? I mean, you start cutting in the kitchen, but after half an hour, it's forgotten. You go back into the old patterns. So this needs really a new way of skills and education to be aware all the time. It's so difficult to keep this concentration because we never used it as a habit, as a pattern to be aware of what we are doing. So that means it's a lifelong learning process. And it needs patience, but it needs also forgiveness if the other one is not aware and you are aware at this moment, because 1 hour later it will be vice versa, depending on what's important for you and what's important for the other ones. That's how the conflicts are coming up. And so we gave up to make clear targets, but just to raise this consciousness about this inability to be aware all the time, and do it whenever it fits, and increase the ability to do it over time.
Yes, and this is such an important thing to tell to everyone, that it is difficult. It's for real difficult. It's a lifelong journey, as you said. But that doesn't mean that it's not worth it. It's definitely worth it. But we're going to keep falling. And yeah, I keep trying to meditate just for 10 minutes. And it's amazing how many things cross my mind in 10 minutes. But I keep telling myself that it's okay. It's just the practice. It's already worth it on itself.
It's a muscle. It's a muscle that we have to practice. Like we haven't practiced. We practice many things. This one is also another thing to practice, or awareness, to be able to move our attention to the thing that we actually want to pay attention. And I also was reflecting about the importance of being able to listen to ourselves. Like if we are not able to listen to ourselves, it's really hard to also listen to the other person, because like you are completely disconnected. So it's really important to build that muscle of awareness in order to hear your body, listen to your body, and then being able to be present for the other person. And also having in mind then that communication is gonna being perfect. Most of the times we want to communicate something and then the other person interprets another thing, and something that has helped me to, or that I try to say when with my friends and with the people that is around me, is like, probably I'm gonna make a mistake, probably I'm gonna communicate it in a bad way, but I'm not meaning to do bad or to create something bad. I just don't know how to express it in a way that maybe is more assertive. So also kind of establishing some space for mistakes and for learning to communicate in a way that is more healthy.
Yeah, how do you do that actually, Johannes, in your learning camps and journeys now? Like, do you have some specific tools that you make sure that everyone knows, like nonviolent communication, or what is it for you kind of fundamental in to learn to communicate with each other?
One challenge is that as soon as you talk about that, the sensibility level rises. That means you are much more sensible if Luz says something wrong now than if you don't talk about it. That means it's like your master classes. Yeah, you know more, you expect more, and when you start learning, you expect that the others are also on this level. That means much more conflicts come up after a while, and so conflict resolution in a positive way is one of the most needed processes, which we try different ways, and it's quite difficult because the more you are aware about it, the more you need to be attentive about each word you are saying, because the other persons are also more attentive. And then sometimes you don't talk anymore at all because
That
you are
happened to me
afraid
last
of the
weekend.
consequences. But we don't have a specific tool set. Some of us did some nonviolent communication training. Others have just the natural experience about how to do it. What we try is for the conflicts within the community, not with the participants, that we have a daily short meeting about what happened. And then we take the important points that we meet every month or so and go deeper into this subject to find out what is the root cause and how can we tackle that. The challenge is often the time, because as soon as you go deeper into something, it's not just 10 minutes. It takes several hours to make a constellation or to do some tools with this. And the time is really a valuable resource. No one wants to give freely for endless discussions. So to be also bring this effectiveness and efficiency into that without putting pressure. And this is, some people don't want to make decisions, others want to make decisions. So this may also be a conflict potential for problems in communities.
Yeah, indeed. As soon as you add the willingness to understand each other, you need time to be able to listen to all the people, and many times we don't even know what's going on with us or where our drives are coming from. So we need to unpack and process. I know that, for instance, at Tamera, one of the eco villages in Portugal, that they use, for instance, theater as a way to enact different things and work through that. What other things have you seen in eco villages? You have visited many of them. Like, do they have, like, I don't know, weekly, some different sessions, anything that have caught your attention?
I mean, most communities have either a regular plenum, maybe weekly, monthly, depending what, and this shorter daily or operative meetings. And then also special spaces if something happens, that you make a special 1 or 2 hour session to resolve the conflicts in whatever tools they have. So improv theater or constellations are a good way to find out some causes for the conflicts, but also dialogues or psychological help in some ways can help a lot. I think deep dialogue is quite good. Also, like the fishbowl, that the people talk about each other and others observe and ask questions. So I mean, there are so many tools doing that. The challenge is to do it and to take the time again, and not to hunt for tools, but to find one or two processes which serves the community and everybody knows how to handle it. So many trainings give you so much selection that you don't know what to use afterwards.
And I guess that in that process, the mindset of the person I guess that there is a lot of importance then to kind of be open to be wrong and to say, oh, I made a mistake. And like, it's because there is the orgullo, proud? No.
Pride.
The kind of that thing is the one that is like, no, you don't want to be wrong. Or I guess maybe it's something related with the ego, no? Like sometimes ego can be really fragile, and then having these conversations put it into a hot spot that then is like, and then we have to learn how to deal with that, recognize our mistakes, or be vulnerable and being humble, and all these things that kind of we feel, or I have maybe felt under attack, but even though I'm not under attack or anything, we are having this dialogue and we are learning together. But I think there is a really big shift for me when I started thinking, okay, this is for me to learn. It's not that I'm wrong or there's nothing bad with me. Like my not authority, but whatever is not being putting into question. It's just I am learning. So I'm open to receive that feedback and to keep learning out of that situation. But I feel that pride sometimes is something that for me was like, okay, now the pride has to go away because you are not letting me learn.
Yeah, we come back to the healthy ego. So it's not this egocentric way, I'm right, you are wrong, but this balance between me and you, and that at the end we are a unity. And how can we find this balance to have a content life?
Yeah. And balance is a key theme that we wanted to explore today with you, because in communities and also in youth workers and people that are working in the service of others, there's that danger of losing yourself in the service of others, or giving so much that at the end you end up exhausted, you end up losing a little bit your individuality as well, your wishes, your desire, because you are kind of just trying to help others, which I think we need way more of that in society right now. But still, working with communities, you might have seen that. And particularly with the group of people that we work with who are really passionate about how to support young people, it's easy to take it to the extreme of being absolutely drained. So any advice or any views about that?
It's what I'm also finding out, and the participants in our community life is that's coming back to the healthy ego, that you first find out what is it really what you are standing for, and then 80% of what you think is you is falling away. Maybe you're fighting for things which are not really you. And then it's a much different position if the people you are working with, everybody knows what's important for him, what is important for you. And then it's on an eye level, equal eye levels, that you can deal with each other. But if you are fighting for the car or for the food and so on, which is not really the center of your life, then a lot of small conflicts come out which are totally unnecessary. So finding yourself, knowing who the others are, and then it's a healthy relationship within a couple or within a community. It's the same as couples. I mean, if you live together and you don't know each other, what the hell?
Maybe to go a bit deeper there, how do you help people to get to know themselves a bit more deeply? What that 20% that really matters?
Like, that's why with our experiments or prototyping, we go more into length. This, what we are doing right now, is a 5-week program where every day we ask us these questions. We find somatic ways what your body is telling. We talk about the mind, what is really important for you. And I guess it should take at least a year that you go deeper into yourself and also listening to others, what there is, to put all these onion layers away from you, which are not important, finding this own core, whether it's through meditation, through dialogue, through activities doing together in the garden, this mix also. And this helps opening up your inner values and taking all the unnecessary stuff away. So it's hard work in a way to stick to that, what you don't do in your normal all day lives. I mean, you just go on. And this way, to do in a conscious way, asking every day again, is it really me? Or what is it? Why I'm saying this now, or why I'm doing this now? And interesting, we had like on the weekend, there was the participants do their own program. So at the moment, we are 20 people here from 12 countries. And some drank a little bit alcohol. And during the week, we don't do that. We try to be as conscious as possible. And then I observed that they change. People change. When drinking a little bit, they fall back in their old patterns. They use words which they don't use normally. And this is where, when consciousness is lost, be it through alcohol or drugs and so on, you become a different person. Maybe it's a true person behind you, I don't know. But this awareness is losing then its weight. And that's why it's good to have at least some periods where you don't have these influences from something else. It's the same eating too much sugar or something. So a healthy life, again, if you want to be a conscious person, it helps to eat healthy and to have good air and so on, and not the distraction from the big cities.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that going every day 2 hours commuting in Mexico City or in Paris must drive you crazy.
Yeah. I have feel what you are sharing about the different. It doesn't matter what it is. It can be something simple as coffee or whichever thing. But then it feels to me that it alters the way I'm behaving or my perception or my energy, and then I do things that normally I wouldn't do, and then it's like And also, for example, being in big cities, it's also something that it creates a stress, and by that stress, you don't act as normal as you will do in a natural space. And that's really related to the thing that you were sharing at the beginning. I also found that connection with nature something that is essential for me being healthy. Like in that environment is where I actually feel more thriving. So being aware of those things, or I guess that at the end it's everything to really be able to understand who you are and listen to yourself, and then doing that dance with the other people in order to find the balance and to communicate to each other, so we all know what we need and respect the other one needs, and then we keep building something together, no?
Yeah.
So it feels like the process of being able to live in community and relate with others in a healthy manner, it's a process that goes through self-awareness, increasing our sense of awareness overall, getting to know ourselves more, and even some sense of even healing some part of ourselves. So I don't know if you have seen this or can share some examples of how living in community have helped people to create that feeling of healing and maybe even group transformation.
Definitely. And we just had this month also the experience from some people who are maybe not suppressed by their parents, but very strongly influenced. You should be that, you should do that. And if they go away the first time was 18, 20, 22 from their families, and they see that the world can be different, that they can express them, it's such an awakening to see that people listen to you, and they, I mean, deeply listen, not just hearing what you are saying. oh wow, my friends don't listen like that. They just talk bullshit, and I talk bullshit with them, and it remains on this superficial level. And then all of a sudden, people talk about their own soul and their wishes and so on, and that gives them trust. Okay, I can open up myself also, and I get good results or good tips how to change my life or how to work on that. So that way, community is created by making an environment where trust can be lived.
Yeah. Yeah, that I think that's like the core word for me, like trust, because once that we are in fear, then we are not able to connect with the person that is next to me, or to be present or anything, because we are under attack or in that mode of survival. So it's essential to create spaces where we that are safe, and we can trust each other and support each other. And
yeah, no, I was thinking that, yeah, at the core, it feels like it's creating that space for safety, for reconnection. Nature helps a lot, decompress, kind of getting away a little bit from all those other substances and life patterns that put us away from awareness. And then we are open to connect with each other. So that brings me back to, how are we living today? How do you see society evolving and interacting with each other? Yeah, where are we? My question will be, where are we? How do you see societies evolving, and what can we do about it if trust is really so important?
I think first the negative part, that in most of the Western society, in indigenous groups are different. Yeah, this trust is not there anymore. It's like gaming. Everybody tries to get the best out of it, wins the games, and not necessarily killing each other, but taking advantage of others. Oh, I made a good deal. I bought it for 10% less, and so on. And in community life, ideally is that we can get away with the money within the community. And that was one point I mentioned before. I don't think we can change society directly. We cannot change the system, but we can change our system where we live in and our behavior. So when we start that and find like-minded people who want to play a different game, and make the rules, invent the rules always again, in this positive way, because we are learning every day, every year, every month, that in my future vision, unfortunately, we are separating more and more from the mainstream. But that is good, because it's an evolutionary process, and maybe more and more of the other side can get attracted by this different way of living. By visiting, wow, this is possible. Why not stay there? Why not create something ourselves? So not waiting that politicians or companies change, but doing it ourselves, being really open about it, sharing it. And ideally, there are 100,000 millions of small communities which are attracting new people to live in a different way. And this means also that we are very authentic about what we are doing and open and sharing it, and not, oh, this is my baby, I don't tell anyone, but inviting each other and celebrating that we have a good life for us in a way. Maybe not as much consumption, but it's still healthy.
Thank you for sharing. Yes, and I've heard this message, many times, also from some philosophers like Stein in the MIT, I think, or Harvard, sorry, that when societies evolve, many times the next evolution of that society came from the fringes, from the outskirts of the centers of power. It wasn't the centers of powers that they started changing, but rather there were other innovators in other circles that started doing things completely different, and that influenced the whole society, and it changed direction. And I think we see it also in education. Like we have been researching lots of innovative learning spaces, very progressive communities of families, and it's really inspiring to see there. And it's also now inspiring to see how many of these concepts starts to permeate to conventional schooling. Say, for instance, project-based learning, which is a very kind of pragmatic academic way to say learning by doing and in the real world and through experience. So yeah, and this is also something that we had there all the time. Like, where do we put our energy and focus? Do we go and kind of we say that we go for we learn from the pioneers and transfer it to the early adopters. Let's say the people that are ready to adopt the change, and they just need the tools and the support to make it happen. Because the late majority is going to come once we reach a certain percentage of people that is already aware of this possibility.
It feels good. Like, I hope that more people realize faster, because it feels I don't know, but at least the experiences I'm having creating these communities and so on, it feels that there is a space where I can be myself, where I feel safe, where we can have challenging conversations, where nature is part of life and is always there. So I don't know, it feels is what you were sharing about content, that life in which you are content and you don't need to be consuming or doing I don't know how many other things in order or to wait for retirement. I'm working a lot, but I'm enjoying every work I do, so I don't need to wait until then. So yeah, it's possible. It's always there, and it's an option actually that we can take in our lives to create those small pocket. I call it. I was writing pockets of trust, or that learning locations. These spots where it's a safe learning space when we can experiment and we can create communities and start playing around with these ideas and trusting and see how it feels, where does it take us. And now I see. I didn't think it so much. I thought when we were creating the guy, it was like, oh, the Awaken Circles are super cool, and this is actually something a really good start to create those spaces where we join to meditate for an hour and then having dinner together and sharing. So just with those small experiments, we can start creating those communities and meeting that people that is gonna make us feel more hopeful. And
we tested that a lot. I mean, I did since more than 30 years a lot of hiking dialogues, inviting people for hikes between one day and several weeks, taking just one topic, but also of dinner dialogues. So we invited people, always different people, over many years for dinner to talk about one topic. But what you said with the speed, I think the speed of change or transformation, it will come much faster than we think because of the pressure from AI. And I guess this point of singularity, it will be within the next 2 years in a very dramatic way. And some friends of mine who run IT companies, they already laid off 50% of the people because they don't need them anymore. And in other branches, it will be the same within the next 1, 2, 3 years. So in Europe, I expect there will be 100 million unemployed people. So what are they doing? They won't earn money in the cities, so they need to get food. And there are 10,000 empty villages in Eastern Europe. Why not occupy them and live there and learn how to live in community again? Hopefully in a positive and deeper way than just surviving together. And that's why I think we need many more locations where you can learn that as a kind of filter how to live afterwards, after these disasters we are getting.
Yeah, I'm finding that thing that moves you, like, or I mean, it can be an opportunity to actually get to know who we are. Like, if we think about that we are not gonna have a job or whichever, then it's like, well, we are having the time and the space to be able to find out who I want and who I want to be and what I'm passionate about. And but it's a really big change completely, like from what we have to right now to that possibility. It's a really big change, and I'm sure that is really scary.
But it's but it gives me lots of hope to hear from Johannes and in this conversation, to know that this has been done by thousands, if not millions, of people already. We've got lots of experiences about how to live in community, useful tools, practices, simple things that we can do, like Awaken Circles or like hiking together and dialogue. It's really just about going to the roots of what it is to be human, and how fulfilling it can feel to just being in connection and interaction and supporting each other. So beyond that word of being a scary change, I would say it's a very hopeful change. It's a healthy change. It's a very natural step forward, I think, and also embracing all that power of AI and technology to make our lives better, because now we can devote more time to all that dialogue and listening that is required for communities to actually exist. So I would like to leave the people listening, youth workers, educators who are working with young people, and that are thinking, how can I start building more trust, more connection, more belonging with the youth that I'm working with? Any suggestions, any ideas?
Working more with them. So a lot of times what I see here with youth workers, it's like a couple of hours per week or so, that you really find more work, and their project-based learning is a very good approach for that. That you start a project which the idea comes from the youth, not imposed by us as educators or so on, that they are inspired by it, and then they come and leave the games away and they really work on it to complete it. But this week we do half days, always project-based learning. So people do mosaics right now, and they do race beds. And when they see that something can be accomplished within a week or so, and you see the results and you can celebrate it, it's the best way what youth workers can do. Not just theory or any board games, but doing projects together and celebrating the results together. And maybe if the project also serves common good, the more, the better.
And it's fun.
Yeah. And also when conflicts come up, you can use it to see how resolutions can come, how we can make decisions together. You can bring tools in a real life situation.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. It was really, really insightful to speak with you, Johannes. It was a real pleasure. And thank you for making the time between that 5-week intensive learning experiment of how to build communities with young people all around the world. And looking forward to visit you in one of these camps. For sure, next time that we're around in Germany, or close by, we'll send you a message to see if we can go and actually see the real thing.
So the next one will be in April, May, probably for 6 weeks, and in next September. But also do something like that at your locations.
Yeah,
open that up.
True.
And I come to Mexico and spend some time there.
For sure. Whenever you want, you're most invited here.
Right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.